So I'm just going to go into the learner management, and we'll just have a look at the start of Unit 4.
Okay. Thank you.
When it lets me in. Teaching and training. Level 5 diploma. Ooh, excuse me. Now, Unit 4 is the last of the mandatory units, yeah?
Yes.
Once you've done that, half the qualification's finished.
Okay.
Probably a little more than half, because the rest of the units are somewhat shorter.
Right. Okay.
Did I show you 8 before?
No, we've not had to look through that.
I'm just going to show you. I'm just going to show you what I mean on here. I put the cover sheet up. Yeah. So desktop. Save. Home. I'm not jumping to 8. I'm just going to have a quick look at this to show you what I mean.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah. Eight is L01, yeah?
Yeah.
L02, and that is it.
They're pretty short, aren't they?
Yes.
I mean, within them, they're quite small.
Yeah. There are only 2 learning objectives in Unit 8, and there are 3 assessment criteria to Unit 1, to L01, and 5 to L02, and that is basically it. It's looking at how you develop and prepare resources for learning and development. You've mentioned some of this before in the previous unit, so there will be also some crossovers there as well. So that makes it a fairly sharp unit to complete.
Not bad, that.
Shut that one again. And Unit 11 is a funny unit, and I'll just cover sheet. Now on this one there are 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, there are less in each one. There are less assessment criteria. Yeah. And this one is actually about partnership working. So after you've done LO1, everything from there is about a specific partnership that you choose. Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll explain all that when we get to it. But it's a pretty straightforward unit. That's what I mean. It's not a complex unit, if you like.
Yeah, but that's good. I like it when it's straightforward.
The text is back to 4. Unit 4 cover sheet. Just start and save. And boom. You see that balloon behind my head?
Oh no, I'm not. Do you know what? I don't get any videos anymore.
Have you not got me on picture?
No, because it's been quite a. Oh, sorry, I pressed the wrong button. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I've cut you off.
Yeah. I thought it was a picture of.
Ultimately, I have control.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, on 4. Oh, missing off there as well. We need to put that on.
Oh, I've put mine on. I've got really bad hair today. Yeah. Is mine on your place now?
Yeah, I can see you. Now, at the back of my head there's a balloon. Oh, you can't see me?
No, I can't.
Right.
Because it's not. I've not seen the bubbles for a really long time now.
Oh, right. I can see you now quite plainly. And my bubble's behind. I would say there's a balloon behind my head with writing on it. It's actually, they bought it for my wife on Saturday. It was her birthday. So.
I would have mentioned it before otherwise.
Yeah, I was surprised. I don't know why you can't see, unless you've not. Have you enabled pictures on yours?
Yeah, I have. Because I got my husband to check it a couple of weeks ago and he said everything's fine on it. So
right.
I don't know why it's not doing that.
So this one has got 5 learning objectives, some of which only have 2, some have more than 2. But the L01 is 2, L02 is 2, L03 is actually 4, but again you've only got 2 for that, and you've got 4 for 5. One of the this mainly is about the wider professional practice and development in educational training. So there is some relevance to other units, but there is also a little bit of academic work, especially in Unit 1, where it says define the concepts of professionalism and dual professionalism. That is looking at professionalism in teaching and where professionalism that's brought in from another discipline, where the two mix together. What the way I understand it is that it doesn't really make any difference, because professionalism is all about doing things properly. Yeah,
that's true.
Going by the book, making sure that things are done properly, completed properly, and everything works. Now, as you know, I was an engineer before I went into teaching, and I had a certain amount of professionalism in that. I was a commissioning engineer on power stations, so basically it had to be done right. Everything had to be done by the book. There were a quality manual to deal with, all the sort of things that deal with professionalism per se.
With the idea of this, then that means is like, say you were an engineer before, and then you had brought that experience into teaching.
I brought that from not just experience, but the professionalism, the way of working, the way of dealing with people, the way of actually getting things done, So that is professionalism in teaching, and professionalism coming into education from another aspect is no different. The same values are in that circumstance,
Yeah, exactly.
And then, again, once you've defined those, it's just to explain ways in which those professional values influence your own practice and the way you work, Anybody who is into teaching in any way or form, whether it's a trainer in a training school or whether it's a professor in a university, will have that degree of professionalism. They're doing that not just because it's a job, it's because something they want to do. And if it's something you want to do it properly. It's an instinct, if you like, so that's what L01's really about. And then it looks at social, political and economic factors and how they've influenced educational policy. Well, social factors have quite a degree of influence on certainly the way teaching has gone over the last 30, 40 years. Also, things like, I almost said, well, I will say it, political interference as much as anything else has made a big difference, or has quite an influence on education policy. And I think economic factors and political factors run hand in hand to a certain degree. Cuts in spending or ideological ideas. I think it was Blair's group wanted to bring academies in. This group now want to try and bring back grammar schools. They're ideological things that won't necessarily improve education. So, that's the sort of thing it asks you to look at there. And then the second bit is an analysis on the impact of those educational policies on curriculum and practice in your own area of specialism. Yeah? So it's actually giving you a fairly free hand to express your views, and say what your feelings are about all these factors that impinge or affect, I should say, how you actually work. 3 goes into explain the roles of different stakeholders and external bodies in education and training.
Right. So that'd be like the governors and things like that, wouldn't it?
Well, that's governors, awarding bodies, local education authority, and then explain how being accountable to all these stakeholders and external bodies impacts on organisations or schools in education and training, what that affects. Looking at Ofsted, things like that.
Yep.
Again, this one might be a bit outside your remit, but you'll understand where I'm coming from. It's explain why it's important to work in partnership with employers and other stakeholders in educational training. This can be, training providers work pretty closely with employers. Some schools do now as well. And you also got the impacts of schools which have not actually failed, but have come pretty low down the score, are being partnered up with schools that are doing really well. And
that's my children's school. They've become a federation with another school. Yep.
Well, that's good because you'll be able to write that in Unit 11.
Good.
So it's looking at explain why it's important to do those things.
Yeah.
And of course, those partnerships have teacher exchanges as well. Yeah,
they do. Yes, all the heads in that have been exchanged around. That.
And analyse the impact of being accountable to stakeholders and external bodies on curriculum design, delivery, and assessment in your own area of specialism. Yeah. 4 looks at key aspects of policies and codes of practice and guidelines in a particular organisation. And what I say to most students on this course is that you will have a person who is responsible for quality in your school.
Yeah.
I would say buy them a sandwich and get some information on them, because all the information you need on there will actually come from them. Because then the next bit, it says in L05, analyse the quality improvement and quality assurance arrangements in your own organisation. So that's the person for basically from 4 and into 5. Yeah.
So what would that person's title be? Just quality assurance?
It may be the quality manager. My title's quality manager at UK Versity. It may be just that they've not got a title person, but what a senior teacher is responsible for it. It may be the person in admin that deals with the awarding bodies.
I'm directly under. I'm working in the class of directly under the director of KS2, but she's a very difficult person to deal with.
Yeah, you get those from time to time.
Yeah. And then there's a lot of inappropriate language that is used to the children, stuff that I wouldn't use, because I've never told a child to shut up, and there's a lot of that goes on in that class, so it's a bit of a learning curve, something that I don't actually like, but I'm just being quiet.
Yeah, it's finding ways to deal with situations, and that's, if you remember in Unit 2 about behaviour management, yeah? Yeah. And it's learning how to deal with that. Sometimes, I'm not saying you would never do that, but I've had occasion where I've had to deal with, let's say, less than happy 16, 17-year-olds who can be really awkward at times. And I've had to sort of lay down the law a little bit with them. But
they do respond to her really well, and I don't think, because they're one of the most difficult classes within the school. So I think it does work, but it's just something I was very shocked at, because it was things that I know there were certain words you're not meant to use. I was like, what?
Well, yeah, that is true to a certain extent, but there are occasions if you know what you're dealing with and the issues around it, then sometimes you've got to take a much stronger line than you would normally take. Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
But you'll find that in that situation, sometimes that then commands respect. It may also command a little bit of fear as well.
Yeah.
But that's not to be sniffed at. I mean, at my age group, we're educated totally by fear.
Because it is funny because when she's in class, the class barely move around. But when you have the Hilter that's teaching them and I'm supporting her, they're just running around the classroom. They're chaotic. It's ridiculous. So yeah, I think it does work.
You've got to have a certain amount of regimentation within. Yes. And again, it's what we were talking about right at the start about patterns, learning to fix a pattern together. Most kids of any age recognise that, and once that's in position, then it's self-supporting.
Exactly.
So again, it looks at quality improvement, function of self-assessment and self-evaluation in the quality cycle. Yeah. One of the things that most schools will do before an Ofsted inspection is do a self-assessment report. Yeah. And the school will have one. Yeah.
Okay.
So you can look at the function of that and how it works, and then evaluate a learning program, taking into account the quality arrangements in your own organisation. That is one of the learning programs that you do. Yeah. So making an evaluation of it, what you think of it, whether it's any good, whether you think it's absolute crap, or whether you think it's
there's got something called Kagan learning now, which I've not had any training on yet.
I've heard of it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure how it operates, but literally, it's just an evaluation of a learning program that you deliver. Yeah. Looking at the quality arrangements and whether it works or it doesn't work. And again, this what you're going to write is between you, me, and the IQA. So you can, as I said, you've got free rein to put your points of view forward. Again, from that evaluation, is then identify any areas for improvement, taking account the outcomes of that evaluation. Yeah. So 53 follows into 54. Yeah. Okay. And that basically is Unit 4.
Not sure. I know it's shorter, but it's got quite a lot of things that I'm not familiar with, so probably quite a bit of research on this one.
There is some stuff on the VL. Well, actually, if I shut that down now, I haven't made any changes that I was aware of. Well, I'll put. Oh, yes, I have. I put that in 4 because it didn't have 4 at the top. On 4, you've got an e-book on the reflecting teaching and further and adult education. The amplifications there, of course, same as before. That I did it on the first 4. The suggested evidence is there. A piece I put on professionalism and dual professionalism. I think I'll just check on. I think that's one of mine put together. Let me quick look at that. It's just a handout, really, detailing some of the professionalism and dual professionalism. Yeah.
Well, that's good because it goes into a lot more detail.
Oh yeah, it is one of mine. It's got my name on the bottom. If it's got my name on the bottom, it's me that's written it. If it hasn't, then it's one I've plucked from elsewhere because it's relevant. Yeah. So that's there. That's okay. That gives you some background on that. Yeah. There's a session recording for Unit 4, and an intro to wider professional practice. PowerPoint on there. You've another PowerPoint on Unit 4 L01, and basically that's the unit.
Right. That's right.
So that's setting you up for what comes next. What I'm going to do is, as I mentioned earlier, I'll look at Unit 1 bring it up to date, and I'll do the same with Unit 2 and do any copy and pasting on there from the 2 versions we've got, and then send you both completed versions with the assessment where it's up to, so you know exactly what you've got left to do.
Okay.
On the notes in the margin where I've said C notes, it'll be on your script somewhere. It'll be down on in review in more detail.
Yes. That's good.
Okay.
I sent, just before we go, the Ramadan is starting next week. And
yes, I know you did send me. Right. That could be a bit of it could be a bit of a problem for me because I don't get in till after 6. I've been tea and so forth. Leave that one with me, and when does it start?
It's starting on Monday, the first one. It just
starts next Monday.
On the 6th. So this following Monday.
That's Monday coming. Right, I'll have a think about this over the weekend. I'll come back to you.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for attending. I will speak to you soon. I will declare the meeting closed.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
Bye, after.